Hi, I'm James from Madison's Residential, and I just wanted to record a vlog for you today. I'm sat at a property that we've recently taken on, and it's a situation where the owner of the property is what would be commonly regarded now as an accidental landlord. The house was owned by her mother. She has an intention to move into the house herself, but has her own home locally. So she is going to continue living there while she considers what her options are, having just inherited this house. Nowadays, accidental landlords make up almost 30% of all landlords within the UK. And this can come about in a variety of means, really. Situations such as the owner of this house, where it's an inheritance and they're considering their options for the meantime, or perhaps as we've seen within Madison's, where properties unfortunately haven't sold for a variety of reasons, and therefore they've chosen to rent them out. Or perhaps where somebody's just simply not sure quite what they want to do with their property. So they've got their own property, they're not sure if they want to sell, they are moving abroad or moving for work, so they are just biding time and therefore felt that the correct thing was to do to rent it out in the short term. So we have seen an increase in the number of accidental landlords at Madison's. And because people haven't planned this, they're not quite sure what they need to do. So I thought I would record some useful tips for you. Number one, if there is a mortgage on the product, obviously that doesn't affect this current owner because it's an inheritance. But if, for example, you actually own the property already, you have a mortgage on that property, then the first thing you must do is contact your mortgage provider. Mortgage provider these days are often it's a lot more simple to transfer the mortgage than it used to be years ago. But you must get permission from your lender in order to then rent your property out and for it to become a buy-to-let property. Alternatively, some people raise mortgages against their property as a let-to-buy. But either way, speak to your lender or speak to a mortgage broker. The other thing to do is then also speak to an insurance specialist, because the household insurance that you'd be used to, the house and contents insurance, you will not any longer potentially need contents insurance. That's assuming that you're taking the furniture within the property with you if you're going to let the property unfurnished, which is what the majority of the owners that we deal with do. So you need to look and speak to a specialist insurance provider. There are then various steps that you need to go through. When you go through the property, you need to check for smoke alarms, carbon monoxide alarms. There's been a recent change in legislation that has tightened up on this, requiring much greater exposure for the smoke and carbon monoxide alarms through the property. You would hope that every property has these, but more often than not, actually, when we live within our own properties, you don't factor this in. You have a smoke alarm perhaps, but you don't necessarily have a carbon monoxide alarm. And you ought to have one of those where you've got, for example, a wood-burning stove or a boiler or a gas, any other sort of form of gas appliance. It's very sensible to have this, but you do require it under legislation when you've got a rental property. There are also other situations, smaller situations, like I've got the window behind me. Now, on this window, you've got curtains there on a curtain pole. But if you've got blinds within the property, you need to put safety features on the blinds. Again, so that's so obviously young children don't come to any harm. There are there are over 170 pieces of legislation within the lettings area that you need to be aware of. So please do speak to a letting specialist because you have to go through these steps. And then you can let your property out safely and have that peace of mind and what I would regard as the sleep at night factor, that when you're renting a home, you're doing so safely and adequately well. The Renters Reform Act, which has recently been published, is ensuring that all homes are safe. There are many properties out there that unfortunately fall well short of what we would regard as a safe home. And the Renters Reform Act is being brought into place to ensure that when you have owners that rent their properties out, they do so and they are safe properties for people to live in. We have written a blog on this very subject at Madison, so please do log on to the website. But if you do happen to find yourself in a situation where you either own the property already or you're inheriting the property and you're not quite sure what to do you sell it? Do you want to rent it? But if you are going down the rental path and you need some advice, please do give us a call at Madison's Residential, and be only too delighted to chat through the scenarios with you and give you the best possible advice. Many thanks for listening. Take care and have a good summer.